Hey guys, Mr. Gardner here. Wanted to come to you today just to talk about the assignment I wanted you to do. So, the last couple of days, we've been looking at line graphs and we've been trying to figure out what is happening in them and make sense of them. So, the first day, we kind of looked at a scenario and we tried to make sense of what was happening in it. And then the next day, we saw a bunch of scenarios that we had to match to their line graphs. Today, what I want you to do is I want you to become the creator of one of these problems and I want you to try and graph it to make it make sense and fit your problem. So you can do this in two ways. You can either start by making the graph first and then try to make up your own story to go along with it, or you can create the story first and then create the graph that goes along with your story. Me personally, I like to create the story first, and then I'm going to draw the graph to see if it goes along with it. And then I'll just check it and see how it goes. And then you guys will be asked to do the same thing. So what I came up with for my own story is Jax rode his bike to school, which is 400 meters away. Halfway, he realized he left his homework at home. So he turned around and got it. Now he was late, so his mommy drove him to school. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a scenario here, and we want to see how that would look if we were to graph it. So what we're going to do now is we'll just make our coordinate planes. For you guys, I'll provide a coordinate plane for you to work on. And you can use the line tool to create your graph probably on Google Slides. Okay, so let's say this is my graph. And again, you always want to label your X and your Y axis, and you want to label what they mean. So in this case here, my X axis is going to be time, right? So this is going to measure how much time has passed in my scenario. And my y-axis is going to be distance from home. So we're leaving home. So what we want to do is make sense of this. So this means that this would be home. This is zero. Zero distance, zero time. Jax is walking out of his door. And I'm just going to make a couple labels here because the story gives us some distances. It tells us that school is 400 meters away and that he turns around halfway. So that would be at 200. So those are going to be some markers that I want to mark down. Okay, and then time doesn't really matter. It doesn't say anything about time here, so we can kind of make up the time. We just want it to make sense. So I'm just going to put some markers down here and call this minutes. So let's say this is 1 minute. Let's go over 3 more and call it 2 minutes. Go over a few more. We'll call that 3 minutes. Go to here and we'll call it 4 minutes. All right, so that's pretty close to being where it should be. So let's say he's biking, so he'd be moving pretty quickly. He'd probably go 200 meters in about a minute. All right, and then he realizes at the halfway, so 200 is about the halfway point, he realizes, oh man, I left my homework. So he has to go back home. So I'm guessing he's going to cycle home about the same speed he cycled there. So I'm trying to make the slopes about the same, but if they're different, that's okay. It just means he changed how fast he was going. Then it says he had to pick up his homework. So you got to assume a little bit of time it takes to pick up your homework. Right? So that would be where he's not moving very much. We'll call it like 30 seconds. And then he goes, Mom, I need you to take me to school. So then Mom drives him. So I would assume a car would be faster than a bike. So I'm going to make this line steeper. And that's going to get him to school. And then once he gets to school, he kind of just sits at school for the day. All right. So now I've drawn line graphs that match up to my scenario. And, I can just check positive distance. He's moving away. He's going back home. He's at home, so 0 change. Now he's quickly going back to school. And again, he's sitting at school, so 0 change in his distance from home. So now I've created my own scenario and I've created my own graph that makes sense. And that's what I want you guys to be able to do as well. So go ahead and do that. Come to office hours. Message me, whatever you need to do, and we can look it over to make sure that you are on the right path. And then be ready tomorrow for the formative assessment.